the feats should be quite similar as well. You have a little bit more affinity and joy in seeing Trump doing shit. I do not, and that's basically the only difference.
Did you see him at the National Black Convention for Journalists? Do you see clips from that? Let me tell you something. No, you can get the best comedic writers in the world. You can get the greatest comedic writers in the world. That shit pissed me off. You couldn't do it. You couldn't come up with it.
No, that shit pissed me off. So good. That shit pissed me off. And it was not because Trump was bad. Trump was amazing. He did exactly what he had to do.
Loved every second of it.
But why do you invite him? If you're gonna talk to him like that, why do you invite him? Like,
I also believe he had a point.
Yes. I really do. I don't think that if I was in a position, I would have reacted any differently.
No.
That's bring the dude there, and then the first thing because that's also my problem with these people. You can critique someone, but it's a lot of it. It's just they have this attitude of like we have to take him to task and just verbal.
Why?
And yeah, then of course he's gonna be like, bitch, fuck you.
You don't have to put it on, by the way. I'll put it on only when we listen to something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Of course his response is gonna be, bitch, fuck you. What do you mean? He said you don't even ask me any questions. You don't even say hello. He said, you don't even say hello, how are you doing? You really come with a nasty question. And then he just starts roasting him. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you fucking get. I thought it was completely deserved.
That was so weird. And I do not understand why. Like, why did you invite him?
To be clear, it was one woman. The other two he was nice to.
The
other one he was very nice to because she kind of agreed with him.
Yeah, but she was also
but the other
from
woman
Fox
wasn't
News
really on his side. He was also normal to her. The one in the middle. It was the one from the beginning that he was like...
Every time they invite him somewhere, they do the same thing. And I wonder, have you not learned?
Well, I think the trick
have you not learned?
I think... Are we recording?
Yeah, we're
good.
recording.
This is we should talk. I think their idea is that this is gonna make him look bad, but it actually backfires.
They
think it makes him look bad, but it doesn't.
Since the very start, they thought that this line of talking and handling shit was the way to make him look bad. And every single time he has shown you cannot make me look bad.
Because he doesn't care.
So why do you talk to him like that?
He doesn't care about looking bad. That's the problem. He doesn't care about how...
He's completely fine with looking like the villain. Because eventually you will look... Like, if you talk to him... If you attack him every time in that kind of way, you will become the villain.
So it feeds into the narrative. I mean, the man just almost got killed.
And...
It feeds... No, it's true. Yeah. He almost got killed. And it feeds into the narrative of, like, y'all being against him. I believe they are. It's not even I believe. It's very obvious that they are actively against him. And it's very much we have to do whatever we can do. It's good?
Yeah. No, it was not good for you?
No, is it good now?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, I was almost sure. It very much feeds the narrative that they have to get rid of him by any means. And they've pretty much, it's not a conspiracy. They've said that. Like, he has to lose. We have to get him out of here. You know what I'm saying?
And that's not the way to handle somebody like him. If you do that, his people will be up behind him even more.
What's your prediction? By the way, we're not American, so we have no vested interest in this. But for shits and giggles, what's your prediction? Who do you think wins, and why? Who do you want to win? By the way, we don't pick sides. We're not political. If you just analyze it
with
objectively.
The wave, I'm gonna say Kamala, and that is only because I have seen her. And this is from the little time that I've seen her. I did not know who she was before as vice president before. I didn't see any shit about her. And the last time she was running, I did not notice or care for her part in that election cycle. The last time she did.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing now is mostly the dude with her, Waltz.
Tim Waltz, yeah.
He is talking differently to people. He's being way more calm. He's being that charismatic kind of dude that Americans normally love. Like he's that kind. You know what I mean? Hopefully you know what I mean.
I see what you're saying.
He's being what Trump was to people. Like the weird dad, the weird uncle that you like, and they fuck with that whole stereotype they have.
Yeah.
He's being that, and because of him being that, Kamala is turning more into that. Loving aunt, whatever, the Obama stereotype kind of thing, and that is working for her. And at least what I'm seeing is online is that the kids, everybody younger, is fucking with her heavily. And a lot of these people are now 18 and older, at least the kids, the internet generation. They're old and allowed to vote. And they are fucking with her heavily. And I think that Trump is rightfully, because that is his base, very much focusing on older people. And they seem to be fucking with him. But the young people are fully on her side, and she just needs to sway a couple older people instead of the full young vote like Trump. Trump needs to convince kids more than Kamala needs to convince old people. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. I think for me, it's really close. It's a toss up. A couple of months ago, I would have said the Democrats have no chance.
Yes,
they have no chance. They're losing. But they figured something out. They figured something out with this Kamala thing. They got on this Kamala train. Kamala's come through.
It somehow worked.
She's come through with a new sauce. Well, she's come through with a new sauce. This was not the sauce she had before. She's figured some shit out.
And I feel, my feeling is that Waltz edition
she had
changed some shit
before she
but it picked up with him.
It picked up with him, yeah.
It picked up with him, but you're right. Let me not discredit the fact that she already had some of that sauce going. Yeah.
The memes, the clips of her dancing, all the shit she got going on.
Like, if you would break it down in generations, my feeling says that millennials and Gen Z?
Yeah.
Gen Z really
my issue
fuck
is
with her way more than
she's
Trump.
Doing really well with a demographic that notoriously doesn't vote, even if they can. That's the only problem. Young people don't vote as much.
Yeah, but that's why
far less like so. That's the last.
Yeah, but that's why I think
puzzle they have to figure out.
That's why I think it's very good that she's doing good there. Because if she's doing very well, they might vote. They will vote. Because we saw that with Obama as well. He was doing very well with them, and they came out.
Did they? Okay.
They came out more than before. Let me rephrase.
But it's still doing really well with a demographic that doesn't notoriously vote, which is in general the Democratic problem, right? The Democrats mostly do better with younger people, but younger people are not as likely to vote. So younger people, literally, a young person will support and tweet and do all this thing and not go outside to vote. Literally, that's sort of the challenge. So, whereas an older person might not do so much, but they'll just go vote because it's like they just do it. So it's a challenge. Yeah. I think she wins. Very close,
but that's a problem.
I think she does win.
If she wins,
but by very but really, and it's really, it honestly to me, it's almost a coin toss. But I think she wins by just.
What's your reasoning for her?
I think she wins.
You said before Republicans got this in the bag.
Yeah. But the reason I think she wins is not so much so. Well, it is related to how well she's doing, but it's more so related to how the degree to which the Republicans really have not figured out how to deal with her. Yeah, that's the thing that which is weird makes to me go. This is now a problem. Because it's one, if she was doing well, but the Republicans had a coordinated line of attack to which an effective one that was working, then I would say okay. Because Hillary Clinton was also doing well, but Trump just had something that was working.
Yeah,
he was throwing in them jabs. Like Hillary Clinton was doing really well. Everyone thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. People forget that it's a long time ago, almost 10 years ago.
It was the emails or something that fucked her over.
The emails, crooked Hillary.
Oh, the crooked Hillary line. That
he doesn't have one for Kamala. He hasn't been able to figure this out.
What was his? He said some shit like, "You just got black." That's a bar.
He tried various things. He's tried the things of like you're not. You say you're black. You're not really black. You're a chameleon. They've tried multiple things. Nothing is sticking.
Nothing.
Right? And in a way, she is a bit of a cheat code. Right? She is a bit of a cheat code. She's the ultimate. She's a complex person to sort of tackle because she's a woman. She's mixed race, so she's black, but she's also not only black.
She's also Indian.
She's also Indian.
So big community there.
There's
big community
a woman.
There.
She's a prosecutor. They don't know where to they don't know where to start. She's too complicated. And she doesn't have a thing like she's energetic. She's fit. She's.
I think
she's charismatic. They can't really find a thing to stick to.
I think it's mostly the last point you said. Like she's young, energetic, she's not slow, and she's making Trump look bad in the sense of the way Joe Biden made Trump look good in the sense that Trump is way more fit than him. Trump looks old now. Every time he talks,
he's the oldest one now.
Yeah.
He's the oldest one to even be running in general.
They don't seem to be able to get around that.
They can't figure it out.
Like, dude is old. He looks old. He talks old. When I see videos of him golfing or when he's on Aiden Ross's stream or some other shit, he walks old, slow. Like, everything about him is old.
Because he is.
Yeah.
He's 70, well in his 70s, late 77 or something.
They got around that because Biden was so much
older.
More, yeah. Yeah.
No, that's the reason why I think she'll win. Is because they don't know how to. They haven't figured out how to beat her.
The one thing
they haven't been able to get anything.
There's one thing
they're
that
trying and they can't find it.
There's one thing that I think they can use against her, or that could be some kind of thing, but they don't want to use that because that also gets them in muddy water. Is the whole Israel shit? Because as the Democratic Party, you should be more on the side of the like.
That's what you would think, but not with Israel.
Yeah.
Israel, Gaza is I'm not big into it. I'm not big into it, so I'm not going to do too much.
But I think that could be the only thing that could, if they do it smartly.
Well, it's a political issue that is
but yeah,
very unique. It's a political issue that's very unique. That just it doesn't behave according to the same rules that other political issues behave. That's the best way I can say it.
They really thought,
because you would think the leftist perspective or the more lower perspective is to be more pro-Palestine, but not when it and that would make sense in almost every other context except for Israel. That doesn't work the same way. So she's flat out said that she wouldn't take away support for Israel. And Trump, I don't know exactly what his stance is. His stance is like it would have never happened if I was there. If I was president. That's what I heard him say.
I hate that he talks like that. Yo, if I was there, none of this shit would be out. I saw, like, I think it was today or yesterday or some shit. Yeah, I'll make sure World War III doesn't happen. He just outright said that.
It's a good argument.
What do you mean? We were not even talking about World War III. You started to talk about World War III just now, and you're telling us it's not about to happen? That's his tactic. Like, yo, let me scare you, but at the same time, I'm reassure you.
Yeah.
I got this. I got this.
Yeah, but I think she wins by the edge.
All right, let's introduce ourselves. We did this whole talk before. We are the 300 Men. I'm Jeffrey.
Oliver.
Danke is out yet again. He has stuff to do, so he will be doing his thing. We were out for a while. Just summer, living life. The summer,
we have lives.
Summer is fun, so we
we
got shit to do.
We have lives. We have jobs.
Weekends are busy in the summer, like always, and
true.
Week I don't feel like doing shit, and then weekend comes. Let's go outside. That kind of.
True.
But my guy, how are you?
Good. Doing really well. Chilling.
Life is doing well for you.
For sure.
Ready to talk about
good
some
weather.
Shit.
Birthday coming up. Probably gonna do some shit with my family.
Nice.
Keep it a small family thing. I don't think I want to do anything loud.
There's a thing with us guys, like we don't like.
Honestly, if it were just me, I wouldn't even celebrate at all. If I wouldn't even do anything. It's for my mom. My birthday is my birthday is my mom's birthday. That's how I see it.
My mom and my girl keep asking, "What are you doing for your birthday?" I don't want to do. I want to stay at home.
Yeah,
leave me alone.
Yeah. My birthday. Sleep. I've accepted that my birthday is my mom's day. It's not for me. It's for her. So, and that's fine. That's fair. That's okay. So we will do.
I don't even want that. Like, let me live. I'm alive. That's the birthday.
That's it. That's all we got to do.
Yeah, no.
But we'll do something like no, we're chilling.
Nice, good. Yeah, life is good as well. Calm, nothing too crazy. With a fun barbecue a couple weeks ago. We've been just doing our thing, living life as we are supposed to. So that's all good. Let's start with the first one. Where you want
bunch of different topics.
Where you want to start off?
Very, very different topics.
Very different.
Let's do the Dr. Umar thing. I'm very interested in how that plays out.
For that,
we start from the beginning?
Yeah. Let me start from the beginning. Like, I was listening to another podcast. I don't know which one it was anymore.
Well, you can go through it and pause as we go, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was listening to another podcast, and they mentioned, like, Dr. Umar had a discussion with Mouse Jones.
Who is that?
He's also a podcaster. He was for a while. Do you know the Brilliant Idiot podcast?
Yeah.
He was on for a while there as well.
Okay.
And at some point he split off, did his own thing. This whole podcast thing It's a whole universum on its own.
Yeah.
And I do not want to be involved with that too much if we can avoid that. Because
I don't want to be involved in it at all.
Yeah.
I have no interest. So
because we talk about the same shit as other podcasts, you always get involved somehow at some point.
Fuck all that.
But for now, yeah.
Okay.
But he had Dr. Umar on, and they talked about a whole range of topics. But this one stood out to me. I did not listen to the whole podcast of this, but this clip stood out. And basically, the gist is, and I'm just gonna go ahead on it. Has hip hop benefited the Black community? Like, has hip hop been a benefit to the Black community?
Okay, let's see. In America.
Yeah,
we're not American.
Yes,
and that part is important.
No, but I think that is still interesting.
You can still draw it larger. Yeah,
we do not see the benefits, or if there are benefits, and we're going to discuss that obviously. We do not see the benefits on the ground. We are not there. We do not reap the benefits, but we see another side of hip hop, and we can say that on our side it might have benefits or not. But we can also see the effect it has on you guys and reflecting to others. So that is interesting. But first, let's listen to the clip.
Let's see what he says.
Let me grab it here.
For me to say, hip hop in 50 years has made sure that Black people now are respected, and no, that's never gonna happen.
What
you heard what?
It done for the people?
It gave you listen to hip hop music and you were inspired at some point, no?
Nigga, I'm leaving.
We're moving. We're literally moving goalposts.
It ain't done shit in 50 years for the community.
It
made individuals rich, and that's it.
It then gave jobs to. It then gave jobs.
They gave a couple jobs. The drug dealer giving out a couple jobs too.
But the drug dealer is. The drug dealer is essential to the Black community in the ghetto.
I want to stop here already.
So okay, I first of all, I love this conversation. I do. I really like this conversation because
it is necessary though. I feel like it's important.
This, I would say that they're actually both making very good points.
Yes.
Because even that last thing he said is true. It's not true. Great. It's not good, but it is true, right?
But it should never be your point in an argument like this. That's why I don't like it.
In every community, this is I don't want to. I'm going to help me not go off on a tangent, right?
No, we can.
Criminal organizations or criminal activity play a role in society.
100%.
Especially organized crime. And in almost every community, the Italians had it with the mafia. You had the Jewish mafia, Asians, any group you take, they have criminal organizations that play a role.
Yeah.
That sometimes, to some degree, has some benefits, some pros to the community. A lot of cons do, a lot of negative stuff, a lot of bad.
No. For me,
but there are some things that they contribute to.
If you want to have a conversation about benefits, you cannot talk about anything criminally or non-savory. Because it's not a benefit in the long run.
But it's part of real life. But it's part of real life.
Yes, and I'm not disagreeing with that. It's part of real life. But if you're talking about a benefit for a whole ass community, which spans, like they're talking about the Black community in America, but this hip hop thing has touched Black communities all over the world. If you're talking about the benefits, you cannot talk about drug dealers because drug dealers do way too much harm.
Okay, well, if we look at the kind of he said, he said drug dealers giving out jobs too, and I think his point was like, yeah, but that's part of part of the economy, right? Like these things are part of the economy, and it is the.
But it's not a net benefit. The fact that a drug dealer
net, I mean,
I
think that's very debatable. Because
for every drug dealer that gets money and can pay for his family, they are destroying another man's or woman's life and destroying another family. But it's not a net benefit.
It depends on how it's done.
It does not depend on how it's done. I respect the hustle. I respect the work ethic that a drug dealer must have.
I'm not promoting crime. Crime is bad. Don't do crime.
No, but I want to say that I'm not against your point. You're right. It has a benefit, but it is not a net benefit, and it does not improve a community because it causes an imbalance.
It doesn't improve. I don't think it improves the community by itself, but I think sometimes it's like, and this is, I don't think it's a coincidence that literally this is not about Black people. You take any group of people.
Yeah.
Any group of people.
Yeah.
And there is within that community criminal organizations sometimes, and that's where it comes into how it's done. is it a criminal organizations or criminal organizations that are just taking and destroying, or is it one that has some
If you
sort
wanna
of
have
code
that
of
discussion-
ethics or some sort of principles by which they look at it more as like a business and they actually try to give back to
If you want to have if you want to have that discussion, I think the way hip hop has made drug dealers is even worse. They use, if you want to say like there was a code of ethics, there was a way they were doing stuff. There was
yeah, and that's the problem. That's what doesn't
hip-hop
exist
has
anymore.
made
Yeah,
that worse. It
that's
was
what,
something.
yeah, but I agree. That's
The
what I mean.
gangs, the groups were doing something
yeah,
well.
I always think
Or-
of the
I don't want to say well because it's not, but you know what I mean.
no, but I always think of the again. It's the degree to which it's organized.
Yeah.
I always think of again the Italian mafia, who would also just fund business, just legitimate business. They would give them the money to do the business. And again, if you didn't pay the money, they come cut your legs off. But so that's fucked up. But there is it's a bigger conversation because at large, if you go to other countries that are maybe less developed, the government and government institutions kind of run like criminal organizations. So it's really not that different. But sometimes it starts with that, and that creates some sort of that creates some sort of infrastructure, and then on top of that, when you get more wealth, then you can stop doing the criminal. So that's the trajectory you see with many groups of
it
around the world, is that it starts with that, and eventually you move out of it.
For me, this touches on what Umar says here as well, and I don't like to agree with Umar often.
No, neither do I.
But this touches on what Umar said here as well. It's an individual thing. That what you're saying is individual benefit. It's not a community benefit.
Depends on how you go about
Because I this is my main point with the drug dealer thing. It causes a disparity in the community. There's no baseline. The baseline is lower because of drug dealers. The top line is higher because drug dealers make money and they have more money and they will be doing fine. But the baseline will always be lower because they are causing people to be addicted and supplying them with multiple drugs, which causes more problems in families.
Depends on how you go about it.
Depends how. There's no way to do it nice.
It wasn't good for the black community in America. That's obvious. It was horrible. Right?
No, there's no way to do it nice. I do not see a way.
It depends on all sorts of things, dude. It depends on what you're doing and how you go about it and who you. It's
for this example,
it's a big for this because drug dealing is very. Okay. The problem is, you're talking specifically about drug dealing. I meant in general the idea of crime and criminal organizations playing a role in the economics of a community that can be in part beneficial is kind of what I mean.
I understand that point,
and
but
the cost still can be greater than the benefit. Sure.
I'm still there. Like for me, and this is a larger conversation they have, and a larger conversation we probably all should have. When is a community actually benefiting? Is it the short term gain? So if this community in the short term has a little bit more money, or is it raising the baseline so that?
And I actually think it's the other way around. I think in the short term they don't gain, but in the long term they probably do.
I don't think in the long term it's a short term thing in my opinion. I do not think the medium the minimum income for a family in a community where drug dealing is prevalent and a beneficial thing. It's difficult to say that, but beneficial thing. I do not think the minimum income of a family or group of people rises because of that.
I'm literally.
And I'm now using only minimum income, but it's also welfare and.
It ties into the bigger conversation because the conversation was not about drug dealing, right? The conversation was about whether hip hop. And it ties into the bigger. So I want to see what the rest are going to say.
Let's continue this thing. Hold up.
You can't tell me that somebody grew up in the hood.
Hip hop ain't done shit concretely beneficial to the black community. You gave me
incorrect.
fashion. The first thing out of your mouth was fashion.
I gave you fashion, and you started yelling over me.
What else?
But then also, then there's technological advancement, podcasting for example.
I'm gonna stop there again.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah.
No.
What?
No, we need to stop. We need to stop. We podcasters are no real benefit to communities either.
Well, podcasting is. I see what he's trying to do. Podcasting is not a technological advancement. Really?
No. We didn't build shit. We didn't create more tech.
And also, podcasting is not hip hop. But I think what he means is the hip hop podcast space. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
I get what he's trying to say. Like everything
I
he's
get it.
trying to, I see
it.
what he's trying to say.
I
That's
get
why I
it.
don't want to Shinuka. I see what he's trying to say, and what he's trying to say, there's some sense. It makes sense. But I also
100%,
see what
100%.
Dr. Umar
I do
said,
not
yes.
disagree. Like with his sentiment, and it's difficult because he has not been able to express
hip-hop is a
himself.
culture that has
Yeah.
provided jobs. Right? It's provided economic
Yes,
opportunity in the form of jobs.
Yes.
And that counts for something. And I get what that means.
it does count for something. For me, the larger question is it a net benefit? It has provided for jobs, but it's not something. It's not sustainable.
Well, let's see what else he says.
Yeah.
Example. Look at all the black people that now have access to jobs and ways to make money due
Yeah.
to that. We're still talking about rap. We're still talking about cinema. We're still talking about these camera operators, these new people
Let
coming
me
up
make
with
it
new
real concrete for you.
I just made it concrete.
No, it wasn't. That was all bullshit.
No,
give
what
me
you're about to say-
give me a relevant institution that hip hop built in any community anywhere in America
I
in
just told
50
you.
fucking years.
I just told
Stop there. That is the point. That is where I agree with him. Right?
Yeah.
So this is the key. This is the key thing. If you're talking about taking a community of any people, so that for me, there's not. We're talking about black people in America, but you could take it applies to any group. Wealth comes from ownership of assets and infrastructure.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna take hip hop and say what does it done for black people, I get his argument of like it's giving black people jobs.
Short term.
But then who owns the copyright of the music?
Mhm.
Who owns the record label?
Mhm.
Who owns the streaming platforms?
Mhm.
And that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
What institution, all right, has been built?
And it's,
What you
for
have
me,
to name and the thing about institutions, they have names.
Yes.
Name an institution that black people own now as a result of that. That's what he's trying to say. And
for me,
there might be some, but
for me,
you know,
there's a extra level. You're right. What institution does it own? But there's an extra level. What has it contributed besides music, besides entertainment? Entertainment is the tiniest bit of pleasure and benefit to a community. There's money in entertainment, 100%. But have you raised the education level of kids? Do kids live safer? Do families live safer? Do people feel safer because of your benefit?
well, that's
To
things that
all
would-
those, I would say no. Kids are doing, and this is maybe a stereotypical view. I'm not there, but in America, for black kids, there are two options to get out, and for them that are struggling, there's two options to get out. It's music or sports.
what they think is not true, but it's
It's
what
not.
they think.
Yes.
What they think is true.
Has hip hop benefited to giving kids more outs?
What I think is what I would say again to that is that would have happened if that would have happened. It would have provided all of those things
If they own
if you had exactly right.
Yeah.
But it's because it's the way I look at it is basic economics. You have a community. There's a certain amount of money in that community. But if you can build something
Yeah.
that can bring value even and have an exchange of value where value can come in even from other communities,
Yeah.
right? Then the money can flow back to your community and provide more wealth there. And if there's more wealth in that community,
Yeah.
then you can start
Yeah.
to provide,
Yeah.
better education, better housing. You have better housing, you have better property rights, better schools, better all that type of stuff. And that's what I think is getting at. So he's having the thing is he's having a conversation on a different level than the other dude. So they're both right, but just they're talking on different levels.
And the question here becomes, what level is the right level to have this discussion on? Because it is also not fair to require of hip hop to raise the medium income of families. That's not what hip hop is for. So,
Yeah. Well,
Oh?
yeah. Well, yes. It's an art form. It's a culture, but it is also, I think it was rooted originally, if you go far back enough, in some sort of uplifting of the black community in America. Was a big part. Was always a big part of it. Maybe now not as much.
There you touch a point where I think
But that was always
everything
a
that
component.
Mouse says kind of fades away, because every benefit that they have created has slightly been eroded by the fact that they have become more nefarious than they intended to be in the beginning.
Who?
Hip hop. Like,
Wow.
the fact that
It's
you started
commodification
off
and-
saying, yo, hey, we need to get these drugs out of the communities. We need to get these kids in schools. You need to get
Yeah,
out.
but then you have-
And now you're glorifying all that
Because
shit. You're
what
making
sells?
it more
What
fun.
sells?
Yeah, but that's not. if it sells, that does not mean that it uplifts or as a benefit to a community.
Well, if it would have made, I see what you're saying, but my focus really on the ownership of the assets, because I think that even if you own the assets,
I think this is a combination of things.
If you own the assets, you could sell all that stuff.
Look, if you
and
have
make the money and then still go uplift the community because you have the money to do so. You would have the ownership. You need the ownership of the. I think at a certain point, hip hop was the biggest genre in the world.
Yeah.
There's no ownership of a streaming platform of anything.
They were the biggest genre in the world, but they didn't do anything.
If you look at how
tangible with
K-pop has done it, which is different because they have a country behind them. Right?
Oh, that's
so
also a
makes it
thing
trickier.
later. We didn't put it on the list, but it's an interesting thing we can.
Yeah,
talk
but
about.
if you look at what K-pop has done,
yeah,
and that they own the shit. And I remember this, and this ties into this. It sounds like a tangent, but it's not. I remember there was a guy on Earn Your Leisure who was talking about Afrobeats. I was talking about how you could have the same discussion with Afrobeats, where has Afrobeats brought something to the African community, the African diaspora, Nigerian diaspora, maybe more specifically. And he was saying, well, all this shit's owned by European and American record labels. So no, they keep the money there.
There's
and then
one,
the question again becomes, well, why don't you? K-pop, they own their shit.
Yeah.
Right,
with Afrobeats, there's one thing that I can give a counter to that, and which I don't think hip hop has to the same degree. Tourism. Afrobeats brings tourism.
There's the tourism. There's the events
Hip-hop,
also. There's the events.
Events, and although like those are not always owned by Africans,
but
often enough they are, and they happen in Africa, which is also important. With hip hop, I feel like because of the image hip hop has now, not before, but now, tourism is not a thing. I would not travel to these places for what hip hop is describing to me.
Yeah, but you don't have. They didn't have that option. That's not.
But they didn't have that option.
Really
but
a thing that you can.
Afrobeats is just a different genre and inherently works different. But that's the difference there. K-pop, your point, and I think you're fully right on that. The beauty of the business of K-pop, to me, there was one thing that I heard.
But it also comes with culture and mentality.
But there was one thing that I heard a while ago that was super interesting about K-pop. K-pop is counted in Korea's GDP.
Yeah.
They don't see it as a separate thing. In the GDP, they say K-pop has earned this country this much.
Yep.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, well, they don't play around. This is the difference. And this is why we come back to the same discussion that we always have. Other communities, for some reason, they seem to play a little different. They just don't do that. They over there, I know a little bit about it. I watched a doc about it.
You lived there for a little bit.
No. Well, no, I mean in K-pop.
Oh, I
didn't live in South Korea. No, but I know I watched a doc in the ones and they were explaining how you have these companies.
Oh, we're gonna go on a tangent. It's a good one.
But you have these companies there that are pretty much in charge of this industry.
Yeah,
it's very top down. They select talent. You have all these kids that are trying to get the attention, but it's very much they select talent.
Yeah,
you sign a contract.
They start as kids.
From what you eat to who you fuck, they're in charge of.
Everything
is under control.
Everything,
right? But it gets to their businesses, right? They understand what they're doing. Listen, we're exporting. The Europeans love this. We're exporting this there.
Oh,
the money comes back here. It's
and do you know what it brings? It brings a couple things.
Back here.
It brings money to the Korean economy.
Yep.
It brings tourism because
tourism,
more
big
money,
tourism, a lot of tourism,
more money.
Yeah.
It brings European workers and European families and American workers and American families because they see Korea good and in a great light. They want to come there. They want to work there. They become valued employees, employers, and workers in that society. So they give the society even more money.
Yeah.
All those benefits.
Yeah.
It's just from having some people be trained and dance. They are being trained in a cruel way.
Yeah, no, it's vicious. This shit's crazy.
But you're right.
That's
you're
how they do
right.
it.
And it's a tangible bit.
And you can't just come.
No.
That's the mentality also. You can't just... Universal knows they can't just go to South Korea and say, "Oh, let us do." No,
you know what happened?
It's not going. They'll send your ass straight back.
What happened?
It won't work.
An American label wanted to do a K-pop group. They got a K-pop people. They got a K-pop label said, "Okay, we want to do K-pop. We partner and we do this shit together."
Yep.
They dropped a documentary on Netflix for this shit. We should watch and talk about it at some point because I've seen half of it now. This shit is insane. They take these little girls as young as 13, 14 years old and as old as like 18, 19. So that's the range. They bring them over to a random place in LA in this case. They take them away from their parents. They train them for like a year and on. They keep them hidden from people. They do not know information. They just train. They have no idea about when they might become a K-pop star or not. They just train. And then they put them through a cruel survival show. And then they make a group out of them. This is a real thing that happened. And it's currently a documentary on Netflix. And there's a group out that did this.
Yeah.
K-pop has every little finger in it. When you watch a documentary,
you do it through the companies and institutions that exist in that country.
You cannot do
it
without
culture.
them.
You can't do it without them. They won't let you do it.
They're the only ones that know how it works.
That's another part of it. They're the only ones who know even how to do it. If you try to do it by yourself, it wouldn't even work. That's a good point.
This
point. Wouldn't even work.
I don't know if you saw this. Tyler, the creator, had an interview and he talked about white rappers tarnishing hip hop, as it were. Did you see that?
Funny because he hangs out with a lot of white boys, but I vaguely heard this. Yeah, but okay.
But this hits
I don't
that.
agree, but fine.
This hits that. There's this rapper now that he sounds a little bit like a Southern rapper, black Southern rapper, Ian.
Ian.
Okay, his name's Ian. He's
a white rapper.
White rapper.
Okay.
The weird thing is, if this was Korea, he would not know or would not be allowed to do anything that he's doing. It would be closed off. They would have said, if you want to do this, you come train with us.
Yeah, you come through Arthur. They just excommunicate you.
You're part of a label of us. Yeah. And then you're gonna come through. Right now,
they excommunicate you. And that's not even if you're not Korean.
You don't even make money.
If you're a Korean person that they don't pick. Right? It's not just about only Korean. If you don't go through the proper channels, right? If you've not been verified, right? Then it's not happening.
And to a degree, Afrobeats and all African music is to a similar extent.
No, it doesn't have
to a degree. If you want to be counted as an Afrobeat artist, you first need to be vetted by some Africans. They need to agree to a degree that you are part of them. You need to be featured with them.
But not economically.
Not culturally.
Yeah, but that's the problem. We always want to do culture. We have to get to the economics, guys.
It's
always
different.
Culture. We have to get to the economics. We have to get to that's what he's saying. This is one of the few points he consistently makes. And to be fair, he does consistently make this point.
He's a little bit aggressive and
I don't agree with him on 99% of other stuff. Yeah. Right? But this particular point that we have to get back to you have to look at the institutions. I 100% agree because in the end of the day, culture. That's cool, but you
hip hop doesn't have institutions.
You can't copy. You can't. You don't get dividends from culture. You can't put culture on the NASDAQ.
Going back to this conversation here. For me, the interesting, like Mouse Jones in this clip says, "Yo, we have the videographers, we have all those kind of peoples. If those videographers stop getting jobs from hip hop artists, they do not have business. So that doesn't mean shit.
Institutions. You need institutions.
They will maybe do a wedding or two or whatever, but they are shooting for hip hop. They're shooting in a hip hop way. They're doing shit their way. Like nobody. A Taylor Swift does not want the same kind of videographer as a Young Thug has for his video. It's different.
Businesses have to be built. I mean, people have tried. To be fair, P did. Well, let's not mention him.
No. But like, Def Jam was a thing. Yeah. But it was still owned half by others. Good music was his thing.
Jay-Z has done his best.
Yeah, like they have tried. They have tried. Like Tyler, mentioning him again with Art Future in that group, they tried and they had a group that was in control of some shit of their own, but they disbanded and did separate things, and they're all successful in their own things.
But that's always what happens.
It's all individual.
Divide and conquer. Dudes split off and want to go be their own thing. It's my same critique of Burna Boy. What if you come back to the Afrobeats thing? He wants to. It's just to me just so blatantly obvious how much he's like, I don't want to be like you guys. I'm a different thing over here. So and then you go do a Wu-Tang Clan inspired Afrobeat album when I'm just like, what does that have to do with and then get Ed Sheeran and Stormzy on an album, and it's like, okay.
And the very next thing you do is start shitting on Afrobeats in interviews, saying it has no substance. Like,
and that's what and then you're surprised that there are no institutions in Africa, or maybe there aren't enough institutions in Africa or Nigeria that own this stuff to be able to say, hey, like the K-pop people do, if you want to go do this, you have to go through us. You have to come through us. You have to bring us money. To my knowledge, they don't have that. They have it with their film industry.
yes,
There, they did do it that way.
but the film industry is not thriving like that. The music is the one thriving. The film industry
is also going.
is thriving, but not in the
Not
same
the
way.
same level.
Yeah,
No.
maybe because it is closed. Like, there's always a cost benefit with these things.
Trade off, yeah.
There's always like a. Just now I was thinking, is it even possible to make like a K-pop kind of style school for Afrobeats or for hip hop? Is it possible?
A school?
Yeah.
Not a school. The school part, no. But you could have like, just like management companies, record labels, and they do have some of that stuff, right? I'm not saying it doesn't
none of the
exist
record
at all.
labels in America that were
But
black owned worked out.
What I heard is that to a great degree, and the guy, he mentioned numbers even. He mentioned a certain amount of millions that Afrobeat has brought in has just not gone to Africa, namely Nigeria. It's gone to just record labels in America. And he would point out that that's why is it not here? You could just do honestly, you could just do the shit entirely over there, you know. There's no special technology that they have over there. You can upload the shit to Spotify, you can upload the shit to there's a and it used to be that way. Before it was popular.
Yeah.
There was no American record label involved in anything. They were just doing it over there.
And they were not even putting it on Spotify. I love that. Like, that was the thing that I think was the best thing about Afrobeats for a little while. And African electronic music still has that to a degree, where they said, we're not putting shit on Spotify. We have the African streaming services. We put it there. And otherwise, free on the internet, listen to it, buy my album. And I know that makes less money in the short term, but in the long term, you make more.
At the end of the day, well, for the community, but people want money.
Let's see what more these people said.
No, you didn't.
I just told you concrete people that would not have access.
I didn't say
You're gonna cut me off again.
individuals. I said
You're
an
gonna cut me off again.
institution.
I said people.
Where's the bank of hip hop for the black community?
The definition of the word people means not an individual. So I'm telling you, people that now of 50 years ago would not have had access to work
dealing in
these
individualism. I ask you, what did they do for the community? You can't give me nothing because they ain't done
people
shit for
from the community can now work in a music industry that there was never going to be a space for them.
What the fuck? That's individualism. That ain't helping us. That's bullshit.
No.
Bull fucking shit.
No.
It's not helping us.
No.
Is that hold on? Wait, is that it?
No.
Okay, yeah, we're going. Yeah.
And then there's more.
Yeah,
But
okay, we're good. Yeah.
I think this is also kind of a capitalism versus socialism discussion.
There's part of that in there. Yeah.
It's kind of, Mouse is more like everybody can have a job and make money.
I'll figure your own shit out from there.
Yeah. It's not, individualism is the right word. He used the right word there.
I mean,
it's not capitalism necessarily.
Yeah, it's funny because it's at the end of the day, it's not being capitalistic enough, right? It's the sort of the how do you put it? The poor man's idea of capitalism is like, I need to make a lot of money. But really rich people know you have to have assets.
You need to have institutions, assets.
It's the kid who comes from a poor background, not because their own fault, but it says, I'll take the fucking deal and give me the money, and then the label owns all your music.
I was wrong. It's not capitalism for socialism. It's both our capitalism.
But it's
it's two levels.
That's what I'm saying. They're speaking on two different levels. They're both right, but Umar Johnson is speaking on just a much higher level with this stuff. He said you need to know institutions. So what institution? You're mentioning people that could get jobs. That's terrific.
I do not care.
What institution? What bank?
I do not care if 50 people around a rapper can make money. That doesn't matter.
That's what Mouse is saying. Yeah.
Mouse is saying 50 people.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Yeah.
That's a benefit. No, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
You need an institution that is then owned.
Because if 50 people around that rapper are making money, you still have that girl that has to go be a stripper, that dude that has to be in McDonald's or whatever else you can imagine at the lower level that rapper cannot touch.
Yeah.
So the community as a whole does not benefit.
No.
There is a benefit that hip hop has given in the sense next to like that it has given some kind of monetary benefit to the community. It has given the community cultural cachet. It has given the community in America a little bit of cultural standing. Like they are at the forefront of determining American culture at this moment, I think.
Yeah, but that's also fading.
Yes,
that's another conversation.
because you're not the dominant music culture anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why I said it's a fickle. Like saying hip hop was
And this
the
is
number
why
one is very fickle.
This is why you need to have ownership of assets, because assets don't fade away. When you own some shit, it doesn't just fade away like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's a good combo.
Let's continue.
Virtual signaling. That's what's happening.
Bullshit.
Virtual signaling
Ain't
happening.
that shit. A few people could get jobs.
Can you go a little bit
Everybody
back
can
for
say that.
you rewind a little bit? I don't get where that came from. What
Shit.
No.
It's not
Okay,
helping
yeah.
us.
No, what's happening is virtual signaling.
Okay.
That's what's
Bullshit.
happening. Virtual signaling
Ain't
happening.
that shit. A few people could get jobs. Everybody can say that shit. Elon Musk got a couple black people on the payroll. That don't mean shit.
Elon Musk didn't come from black. He's not a black
My
person.
point is, you can get a job from anywhere, whether they
But
black
now-
or not.
but now
That's
you're
not
getting a
unique
job.
benefit.
Now black
but
people-
you're still
Go ahead.
talking about individualism, bro. A few people. You've been around for 50 years, the most popular music genre in the world, billions and billions of dollars, and all you can tell me about is a few people can get jobs? That's bullshit when you look at the cost that the black community has had to pay for hip hop.
That's another factor.
A whole generation, 2-3 generations of black kids growing up thinking the best thing you can do is be a damn gangster.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
It's facts. That's the other part of it, because that's what I was sort of
That's
going
the
to
part
say
that
when you said
people.
when you said the cultural cachet. I said, yeah, but there's a cost for that.
And this is the
And you
cost.
could argue that the cost is higher than the benefit in many ways. You could easily make that argument. It's like, yeah, okay, you're cool and did it, and but you know, it's great when you can sell it, right? A gangster is great and cool, and when it's in a music video and it's safe. When it's outside of the music video, you know, you go to prison. So it's you make money for being a gangster in a music video.
Yeah.
If you're a gangster outside of a music video, you just go to prison. All right, so it's I think I lean more towards Umar Johnson on this, but I see what the guy was trying to say.
Normally,
I see what the guy was trying to say.
Normally, I do not want to lean or be on the side of Umar because he is just
a bit much.
It's been much. He says some good shit, but he's also just flat out wrong often. But here, I cannot do anything but agree with him. Like, he's right. That last part is, for me, the most poignant part. Is like the most important part in this. Like, you have the one thing that you have, you're destroying yourself as a culture, as a hip hop culture.
Yeah.
And it's seemingly, I do not know. This is where I step out, because I do not know. I'm not there, and I was not born in America and cannot say anything about that. But seemingly, they cannot do anything about it. They cannot stop it.
Stop what?
Stop kids from thinking that being a gangster or a drug dealer or a drug addict is the best thing to do.
If that's what you see, you're a kid, and that's what you see, and that's who you see being successful, and it's tricky.
But you would think, like, as a group of black people, you can stop kids from doing that somewhat.
No, I don't believe it.
But it's not.
No, I don't believe that. If it's there, kids are kids. If that's what they see, you can tell the kid. You need to take your kid to a completely different type of environment. That's what you basically have to do, and that takes money, right? To say I'm going to raise my kid in a completely different kind of community where they're not exposed to that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
But then you need money for that. So that's
exactly.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It doesn't help that any bit of money that is being made from these rappers that are selling this drug and gangster life is being given to non-black people to do whatever they want to do to further their own businesses and own institutions. And then,
that's what I'm saying. It's the institutions was the. I see what he was. It's very clear what the argument was. He's saying it's giving people jobs.
Mouse is not wrong though.
No, he's right. It gives people jobs, and there's benefit there, and that is a benefit. It did something. It's just what Umar Johnson is expecting it to do. It didn't do, and that's
a bigger problem.
The building of the institutions.
Like, Mouse is 100% right, and I do not, in this whole conversation, I do not want to discredit him. He's 1000% right, and he's right to say people are getting jobs. People are moving on up. There's a group of people that are doing way better because of hip hop.
Yep.
But the bigger thing is that not enough people are moving up. So it's not a benefit.
It's not about people.
There's a tiny group. There's a couple cities, maybe a couple communities in cities, at best, that are benefiting. That's not enough if you have a whole country of black people struggling still.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you want to say that it's a benefit? Nah. If the question is as they stated, or the discussion is that they stated, is hip hop a benefit to the black community? All considered, Mouse's point is just not enough, I think.
Yeah.
From a European perspective, it's even more of a detriment for all, with the vision and image that they're putting out, is more of a detriment because people here who did not at first even consider being anything like they portrayed are trying to portray that now. I'm talking about drill rappers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this was not a thing here, and it didn't have to be a thing. But because you guys started it there and exported it to us, now it's starting to become a thing here. Okay, so that's a bigger detriment even to the collective black community.
Yeah, the cost is
high.
The cost is high. And the benefit is not high enough. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. But that's it's an interesting conversation. Online, there's more. I'm sure there will be a couple people.
Plenty of debate. Yeah, plenty of debate.
This I think this has been a debate for a long ass time.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think this will ever go away because hip hop is probably it's not the biggest thing. It's like the most famous and visual thing the black community in America has probably done it.
And I mean, our memory of history is short because that's what now. But before that, it was jazz, blues, rock. Like there's also
I'm trying to think of examples.
And the pattern is the same thing every time. It's no ownership.
Yes.
Now, historically, they couldn't have ownership legally. So
now it's possible.
Now it's possible. But that's also a reason why they don't have it now, right? Like if historically you haven't built the infrastructure or the knowledge, right, to do so. So
the great thing, the one thing that Mouse Jones here is right on, there are now a couple people who could provide those institutions. If a Jay-Z and Beyonce and Kanye and a couple other people act right is the fucked up to say, but step up in that sense, they could kickstart some shit that could be some kind of institution that could help.
Yeah, but it's hard.
It's difficult. You're asking people to basically put all their money into a lot of big guesses.
Yep.
And that's difficult if you also need to feed your own family. But hey, I was just trying to think if there was anything else that we remember, and probably we don't know it because we are not there. I keep hammering that point. That is not entertainment based from the black community. They have been good at organizing politically, sports, but still entertainment. But they have been good at organizing politically. They've always been important when it comes to that. Yeah. So that, but yeah,
business
to a degree. Yeah, actually, but mostly entertainment business. So, but yeah.
See?
The other topic we wanted to talk about is you shared this one.
Yes.
Ghost jobs, like
ghost jobs, fake job listings.
I'm noticing those as well, but yeah.
Basically, it's a phenomenon. So it was this clip from Bloomberg. Basically, it's a phenomenon of fake job listings. So companies are posting more and more fake job listings. So these are job listings that are for a job that either doesn't exist at all, so the company has no such job that they're hiring for, or it's for the job that the company was hiring for, but it's already been filled, but then they leave the job opening up. Or they were going to hire for it, but due to budget cuts, they're no longer hiring for it, but then they leave the job opening up. So it's two conversations. There's one where they're very deliberately putting out job postings that aren't real. And then there's another one where they're leaving job postings up for longer than they actually need to be.
And the interesting thing for me that you said was it ties a little bit into this quiet quitting thing we talked about. I think that one of the last times we recorded, because basically quiet quitters are looking at extra jobs, and they're trying to attract the quiet quitters kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I
or
think
keep them in their database for when they actually have a job.
yeah. Well, in
Yeah.
general, the fake job listings thing, what they're saying, the argument why companies do it is so they can have a talent pool, that they can easily pull from, because they might not always be looking for
It's actually the opposite of what employees are doing. They're looking at a couple companies like, okay, if you have a job opening, I'll apply for you. And now the companies are doing the same thing. Like, okay, if you are available, I'm trying to hire you.
well, I mean,
let me create my pool already.
It ties into the bigger conversation about how, people's relationship to work has changed dramatically in the last 10
so
years
fucked up by
in
COVID.
Western society, and it's just more so rooted in very fast-paced, very temporary. So the whole thing about, you need to switch jobs every 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody's doing that, well, then that means I also have to hire new people every 2 years, right? Like, this is literally what it also means for the companies. That if you include that some people are quiet quitting, people are doing remote work so they can work 2 different jobs at the same time, 2 different full-time jobs at the same time.
That shit is
Like,
sick.
You're getting this attitude towards work that is far more, and it goes, I don't want to go on a whole tangent, but it goes bigger into the rise of like the gig economy and freelancing work becoming more popular, private contracting work. People are becoming a lot more entrepreneurial. So even if you think about a job, if you're working switching jobs every 2 years, like, sure, you have a job, but you're really not that different from maybe like a freelancer or private contractor who has a client and then just keep switching a different client. Or if you're working multiple jobs,
The only thing
you're like a freelancer that has clients.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's people are becoming more mobile.
The
with
only
this
thing
stuff.
between you and a freelancer, if you switch so often, is that you require a little bit more stability. You require the employee.
Well, you get more benefits. You still get the employee. You get all of the benefits of an employee.
You want you want the more benefits.
Yeah.
And you stay a little bit longer than a freelancer would.
Yeah.
Freelancer would live after a year or 6 months.
6 months, yeah, something
And
like that.
you would say 2 years. I'm gonna do for you, and then
And that's the thing. It's very much this sort of like, I get why companies are then putting out more free job listings. So it's easy to put, and you'll see in the clip they'll put it all on the companies of like, oh well, that's not, they should maybe not do that or blah blah.
let me
But
see
I'm
if
like,
that
I
is
get
the
why
exact
they're
clip
doing
I
it.
have. I have a clip here, but I do not suggest it.
Cooler than expected, but over the past 3 months, payrolls are up 170,000. That's certainly a good enough clip to keep the labor market healthy.
According to June's Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey, commonly known as JOLTS, the number of unemployed persons per job opening stands at 0.8, indicating a tight labor market.
Job openings and labor turnover, known as JOLTS. JOLTS coming in near expectations, 8,184,000. Actually, that's better than expectations.
Despite a tight labor market on paper, many workers are still struggling to find jobs, indicating a disconnect between the data and the real-life experiences of job seekers.
The rise of ghost jobs is muddying the jobs report. It's making it harder for the Fed to make decisions and understand what the labor market looks like. Anecdotally, people will tell you that it's very tough out there. We've talked about this notion of unhirables, people who are out of work, got laid off, and just can't find a job. They can't buy an interview. There are people coming out of college and they're finding that they're putting out 500, 800, 1,000 applications and they can't get an interview, let alone a job. And yet, when you look at the base numbers on the job boards, it would seem like we're in an incredibly robust hiring market, and that ghost jobs are creating a fake perception. And no one knows how fake that perception is. And the Fed and economists are trying to understand what's real and what isn't. And they haven't yet figured out the silver bullet to understand.
Yeah. So that's the big thing, is that it's sort of also
It's ruining. It's
sucking up
ruining
the statistics. But if you put out a lot of fake job, for those who maybe are following, if you put out a lot of fake job listings, right? Eventually, that's what they use that to calculate, the state of the labor market, and figure out how many job openings. That's job openings to labor turnover survey.
I would almost feel like they're doing it on purpose because they did not like what happened after COVID, when there were more, when employees had it so much easier switching. After and during COVID, there were just so many jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They just could go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of people that I saw switch jobs and went from left to right to, do whatever. They took every 6 months or something. They tried out something else because this employer did not want to let me work from home anymore. So I got angry. Or they didn't have a new laptop for me, so I switched and I went to another one with new laptops. Those are the kind of level of things that I heard and saw online and also saw around me. And now it seems like it's way more difficult for people to get jobs, but they want to keep up that perception for some reason. And I do not know and understand why, really. But
I mean, they mentioned a couple of reasons. They mentioned that obviously they want to keep their talent pool open.
Yeah.
So they can easily hire. So you could argue that it's maybe a vicious cycle sort of effect. Like first, you have all these job openings, right? And you have more openings than people. So it's actually hard for companies to hire people, right? So that you have first that it starts like that, like, and that's the actual reality.
Yeah.
Companies then dealing with this issue say, okay, well, it's hard for us to find people, and we know it's a labor market where it's hard to find people. So even if we don't need people right now, let's preemptively make sure we have listings out there all the time to have people coming in, so that when we do need someone, we can very quickly get someone. But then what that then leads to is you have all these openings that are out there that further exacerbate the perception, right? That there's this big labor market where there's all these openings and anyone can find a job, when really it's actually it's not the case, and people actually finding a hard time to get jobs. A much harder time than it actually is. So, yeah, I think that's the reason. I think people also said that it's a way for companies to make themselves look good.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's another one. If you put a lot of job openings,
that makes sense.
It makes it seem like you're growing. You're making money and all this other stuff.
Especially after recently where they have fired an insane amount of people, especially in tech. Most companies don't look good anymore. Like people, at least I know for me as a UX designer, I saw online a lot of people saying, yeah, go to Google, Apple, go to all those kind of places. Apple did not fire too many people, but Meta and Google, they slashed whole departments almost. And it would make sense that people look at them now a little bit weird for like, yeah, I don't want to work with you. But if you pad yourself with a couple ghost openings, you look immediately a little bit better. Like, okay, you guys slashed, but okay, you guys are still. Spotify was one of them as well here in Europe that basically fired a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. If they would pad with some things, that would make sense. Yeah, I've seen a couple of those ghost positions pop up on LinkedIn.
How do you know there were ghost positions?
Mostly, at least here in the Netherlands, they mention it in it. Like, this is not a real position. This is just yes.
What's the point of that?
They want to have a conversation so you could be in a database. And I've noticed this. That's one part, and the second.
I think we have laws for that. That might be it.
I think that there might be a law for that, but also the second.
I know that we have rules here about making job postings.
Yes,
you can't just put just whatever.
Yes, you need to be very clear.
Whatever, yeah.
But they style it exactly as a job position.
Yeah.
But it's just one little line at the top.
If it's vague enough, then
yes, it looks like a job position, but it's just that one little line. Hey, we're open for conversation. But what I also noticed is that every time you do want to apply for something, even if it is real or not, and you don't always know that, you need to make an account, and they store your data for a while. So then they make the pool.
Well, you make an account where? With them or what?
Yes. So
you have LinkedIn. If you do LinkedIn, you have a LinkedIn account, right?
This is what I found weird, and that's why I for a while also stopped looking and applying for shit. They suddenly started requiring me to make an account for everything. Every time I wanted to just, hey, let me share my CV with you as a company. I want to just have a talk. Like, I'm good where I'm at, but I also always want to see what is going on. Mm-hmm. Let me share my CV. No, you need to make a whole ass account, give all kinds of information, and we're gonna stay. And below that, it's always like, yeah, we're gonna store your information for at least 6 months. And that is the whole talent pool idea. Like,
talent database.
If you have an account with them, they can keep your information, and they can link that to your CV and your information. And
they will reach out to you when they feel like it. Yeah, if it is, like, again, it's probably the response to it maybe really being hard to hire people. It's using all of these tactics, but then that makes it, it fucks up the numbers of the job listings.
It's a weird place out there for people to, when it comes to jobs. Like, it's it's hard in the sense of there's from what I also know from other designers, and this is mostly tech. I'm speaking tech, but it is. There are jobs there, and there's a bunch of. There are not a lot of jobs, and everybody's fighting for the same ones. And there's a couple of them. There's
in tech.
There's a group of them that are just being left behind, and nobody's looking at them. So it looks like maybe it's not the same thing as ghost jobs, but it looks like there's plenty of jobs, but people are all going for the same shit.
Yeah.
And that is a whole problem. And then you have also the other companies that are trying to muddy the water where, let me put just some random shit up because I want to create a pool for when
I do
in
need
26 or
someone.
27, then we are going to hire like a too big of a company.
I think that's the biggest one is that they want to have the talent pool out there so that when they need someone, they get someone. I think there's also the thing about making your company look bigger. I don't know. I think
which is
a little bit, but
the whole talent pool thing is also kind of sick to me because now you have the talent pool. Now what? Like you don't know.
So if you need to hire, you can easily hire. You have more.
Yeah, but that person is not the same person as they were half a year ago. When you are ready to hire, that person is not going to be the same person. Maybe they switch already 2 times and they want triple the money you're asking for.
True, possible.
The pool does not mean anything after like 6 months.
That's why they have to keep doing it, to keep replenishing it. That's why they have to keep putting this shit out. That's the problem, right? Yeah, the pool is never done. That's the problem.
The pool's ever filling. Yeah.
And then you fuck up the thing. So what it does is, and that goes to a bigger conversation of how it affects the perception of the labor market. If these numbers are used to determine the state of the labor market, it's also used to determine, interest rates by the Federal Reserve and things like that.
Used to determine minimum wages. Used to determine how much are we year over year. Give more. Like, yeah, you're right.
So that's the.
If they think, there's a shit ton of jobs, inflation might not be that bad. People are just not wanting to work.
Yeah. But if you look at that's what the number they showed before this with the to hire ratio. You see the openings to hire ratio. You see way more openings than
from 8 to 10 to 4.
Yeah, for people that are being hired. So that means that there's a lot of these openings are bullshit. Because if you really want to hire someone, you hire someone eventually.
It's also like
it also allows I think it's also a way for companies to be pickier.
Yes, I was about to say that as well. But companies company owners are weirdly picky. Like
yeah, they're more picky these days.
But for no reason. You're asking. I saw a junior designer thing. Like within design, we use a program called Figma. It now exists for the podcast for the people that are listening. It now exists for like about 8 years.
Okay, I was gonna say a little bit.
5 to 8 years, something like that.
That's not old.
I see a junior position for a UX designer.
10 years of experience.
10 years. Why?
10 years. 10 years.
This shit doesn't exist.
10 years of experience in something that exists. 5
to 8.
Yeah,
but why are you so picky?
Maza. It's just absolutely. No, they're going crazy.
Why do you require somebody who just finished school, a junior, to
10 years of experience,
already have like 2 to 5 years experience?
It's vicious.
That kind everybody's trying to be cheap. You're trying to hire somebody who you should be paying double the money for half the money. That's what they're doing. I recognize that. That's the goal. Like you say, hey, I need somebody with 10-year experience, but you're a starter, like entry to the job market. You're just trying to get cheap labor. And basically every company, during COVID, I think I said this to you. We had the same conversation. I think a lot of these companies should not exist.
They shouldn't.
Because they keep talking about we cannot pay our people. If you cannot pay your people, you should not exist.
You're talking about, especially in tech.
Not only
yeah, but in general.
Yeah.
But especially in tech, where you have this low interest rate environment where money's cheap and these venture capital firms are just throwing money at startups. You're seeing, I think they was talking about, this happened, of course, after the interest rate hikes. Yeah. And money was no longer cheap.
Yeah.
And things get tight because that's what the point is of an interest rate hike. It's supposed to cool down the economy. It's what it's supposed to do. And that does lead to people getting fired because less money is given to these companies, especially startups that you have entire startups that are unprofitable they're just running off of investor money. This is
Which
what they're running
doesn't
off.
make sense.
They're not profitable. They have no real plan of becoming profitable. And then the money dries out. The money dries out. The money dries out, and they can't hire people anymore. They can't afford to hire people anymore, and that's how you get these layoffs, or you get these startups going down because they were never meant to be running in the first place. They didn't make any money.
There's so many of those kind of companies that I've seen in the last couple of years. Like, it doesn't make any like the whole idea of living off if investor money was the worst thing that we could have done to entrepreneurship, because it first made people hire too much, then it made them
Scale too fast.
it made them scale too fast. Then it made them stop trying to make full finished products. That's how we got
That's the other
the
one.
AI shit.
Yeah, that's the other one.
And when that bubble burst, then they became very picky about people, and now they're doing the ghost job shit. Now they're angry that people do want some. People want to work comfortably. Like, if you want to work from home, which is now after COVID should be a very regular request. Hey, I want to work from home 2 to 3 days a week, not a full week, not the full 5 days, but hey, I have a kid. The kid is 1 or 2 years old. I want to be able to take care of them and not have to pay for childcare for a child. I only know the Dutch word. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want somebody to
Childcare,
daycare. That I don't want to pay for daycare too much. I want to be at home. Like, that's a reasonable request as a company owner. But for some reason, a lot of these companies should not exist. That's the thing I keep going back to. And this topic here, the ghost jobs, makes me feel the same way. A lot of these companies should not exist. I even go back to during COVID. We said a lot of restaurants went down, and we saw that on everything. A lot of these restaurants should not have existed because they were clearly not paying their people and not good enough. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird. To me, this whole thing, just the ghost jobs, is also just a weird development, and we're gonna get weirder and weirder and weirder. We had one final topic. What was it?
The AI thing, right? The AI thing.
Yes.
Wasn't that the last one?
Yeah, that we just were talking about it. We can
That was it, right?
Yeah, that was the last one. Yeah, go ahead and share that. Good.
With the one with the one with the lady?
No, with the basically the technology. Let me go. So we were talking before.
Mm-hmm.
There's an AI that released that I saw and that we both saw. I think you called it Claude or something.
Claude is an AI. It's
Yeah.
by the company called Anthropic. I actually have an account for it. I've used it before.
And it's an AI that is supposed to help you write code super easily.
I think it does other things as well.
It does other things, but
it's
that's
supposed to be
main,
really good at the code.
But that's
for
the main thing that I saw, at least online people using it for. But that to me sparked a whole feeling, conversation, sense of worry.
Mm-hmm.
And it hits another video we were looking at where a lady, we saw a TikTok video, a lady was discussing, hey, one of the worst things that AI is doing to people is making climate change more of a disaster, because that enforces desertification, which enforces people or farmers to lose grassland, which informs farmers to lose money, which informs them to go to terroristic organizations, which causes global panic and problems.
Blah, 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 blah.
Which led, big explanation, tangent thing, which led to me that there is one big question, and the whole code AI thing leads to this as well. People do not understand what AI is.
Yeah, that's what the conversation was.
That is the big thing that gave me a sense of worry. Like, we have all these apps and things that have this nice sparkle animation, and then when you press a button, certain things happen. You get a nice image or a couple images you can choose from, or a text that gives you all information, or a video. But people do not understand how that works and why that works. and how that works might be a problem in certain ways. Because the main problem here, which is referring back to the lady's TikTok, is not necessarily that AI is super good, is that AI is costly.
Energy usage.
Energy, space,
raw materials too, the data,
raw
the
materials,
chips.
like
Yeah,
it
the
is
chips.
the one thing that I thought about her video that she said very well is AI is a physical change. It's not a digital, it's not informational. It is actually a physical change to the world. You're building data centers, you're building big ass computers,
massive data centers, yeah.
Massive data centers that will be used for somebody to figure out, oh, can you offer me the best recipe? I'm being very glib here, but yeah, that's basically that for me translated into people do not know what AI is, and people are losing touch with understanding the devices they are holding.
Yeah, but that's always been the case.
That's always been the case, but it's becoming, there was always a group that you could trust on to understand and make sure that they everything happened properly and ethically. If coders do not code themselves and they write prompts in English to get an AI to write for them an app, that's what the Claude app does. I do not know if in a couple years, if that's super prevalent, people still understand what a computer is. Like and I'm sounding like the old man. The beauty of having used a desktop computer, laptop, tablet, and now a phone is that you understand. You know the steps. You know the steps. You know that if on the computer, if you put something in, you get something out. Input output. Most basic of basic things. If you take too many steps away from that, if you take away the code, if you take away understanding how text is being processed and all that kind of stuff, you do not understand it. And then you think, and that's what you said, then you start thinking that AI is magical and alive, which it is not.
Yeah, then you start thinking of in terms of human that's my hypothesis recently is that it's just another tech hype cycle. No different than crypto, which we were very involved in, that makes a lot of big promises to fuel speculation. Gives me a lot of big promises, creates consumer interest. Creates consumer interest, consumer hype. It's a bigger conversation about how valuations in companies currently are very much the degree to which they're driven by virality and online hype. Yeah. People underestimate the degree to which, $1 million investors that are invested in things like Tesla and Microsoft just watch YouTube like everybody else. I think people forget that.
Which is insane.
I think people think that those people live in some special ivory tower where they get special information, which they do also, but they also just watch TikTok videos. So and again, I was watching this quick side tangent, but I was following this guy called Gary Stevenson. He has a YouTube channel called Gary's Economics. And I
think I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, he's getting more popular. He was a top trader at Citibank. He was one of the best traders in the entire world at a certain point. And he was saying something very interesting. I watched an interview with him where he said something very interesting. He said that as a trader, he said economic analysis mostly is bullshit, right? And the ones that you see on the media and the news are just, it's an entertainment product. The best economists are traders. And they get paid a lot of money to not tell anybody how things really work.
Yeah.
But the point that he was making is that when he was a trader, he would read the newspaper.
Cultural.
Because even though he knows what they say in there is bullshit, he needs to know what you think.
So because that's how you move. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to bring that back to the AI thing, I think plenty of top level people and investors know what it actually is. But they need to know what you think it is. And if you think it's something that's going to disrupt and change the entire world, okay, that means that you're going to buy products or push up the stock of this company. So I should buy early before you do that to push my stock up. And that sort of creates this sort of hype cycle.
I think it's 50-50. I think a part of them is like you say, they do know what AI is. They do understand what it is and what it isn't. And they're just looking at how we as regular humans look at things and trying to move on that. I think there is a group of people that do think AI is magical, and that anybody who works on an LLM, large language model, is literally trying to build a new intelligence.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the people with the big money.
I think that's people with big enough money to start companies and start up be in the first couple phases of these stupid companies. I think like a couple of these hardware shits, the Rabbit shit, was investors like that. Because how do you build something like that and not have dumb people like that prop you up?
I disagree. I think that's actually a very good example of the opposite.
Maybe a combination.
If I'm an investor and I'm looking at this kid who's gonna build this Rabbit, this tool, in the middle of an AI hype cycle, I don't need it to work. I just need you to hype it up and sell it to enough people to make me money. I don't need it to actually work. You see what I'm saying? So if you're thinking like that,
but then we're getting back to the whole problem with the business part that we were talking about before, where evaluations are just fucking nothing. You're giving money away for shit, for just air.
Yeah, because I know it'll make me money. See what I'm saying? That's the point. Yeah,
no, because the one thing.
Yeah, but that's the strategy, right? So this is what I'm saying. It's a branding thing. I think they're all collectively, and especially the Sam Altmans and people at that level. I think her name is Mira Murati, the CTO of the. They know what the thing actually is and what it actually does.
It's basically a text interpreter. It looks.
They know what it actually is, but if you create this sort of hype, it pushes up valuations. And if it pushes up valuations, you make more money. You're worth more money. That's what my hypothesis is currently. Because I think that and then it plays in well, because even the part of like playing into the fears of it, I think is part of it. Because you have the sentiment of people, these researchers and scientists, that are like, oh, AI could be very dangerous. But again, they're more on the theoretical part of it, mostly. They don't have the source code of OpenAI and how it actually functions, because it's called OpenAI, but it's not open source, by the way. For those of you who
we have this discussion.
Don't know. So this way, if I can mimic it well enough, and that's the thing, if I can create something that mimics it well enough, oh my god, they even talked about this thing where there's this whole phenomenon where they talked about like tech that isn't really tech, where I forget which company it was, but people thought that they were using tech, that they were talking to a certain app and that the app was giving responses, but it was literally just people that were working in India. At like
I think I've seen something like that.
It was something with like the self checkout, some sort of like it was a company that had like a self checkout.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon. That was
it. People in India.
The Amazon thing where you could just walk in a store and walk out,
and it would charge you.
It was apparently people in India just checking cameras,
manually doing it. It wasn't tech doing it. And there's been several things like that.
Yeah.
Right. So my point is, with the AI thing, I'm like, of course it's impressive, and of course it's clearly an innovation in many levels. Even if you want to look at it from a user experience perspective, it's still an innovation to say, instead of giving you a list of bullshit, I give you a specific thing. That in itself you could call an innovation. But this thing of it being super intelligent and it being this reaching the level of singularity and all this other stuff, that I think is pretty debatable. But it helps the valuations.
100%.
And it makes people more money. So that's what I think. Personally. Right? I think people are missing because the innovation that it actually is still very big.
What I hate about all this,
it is still a very big innovation. Just like crypto was still a very big innovation. It's just they turn it into like, and this is going to create a metaverse that we're all going to do. They take it too far. You see what I'm saying?
Here I have to, crypto is not an innovation. Or at least I don't know yet.
Blockchain technology is.
Blockchain, okay. Fair. What I hate about all of this, also what crypto did to all this, what AI is doing to all this, is that we're not getting products out of this. We're not getting anything useful out of this. OpenAI is the only useful thing I feel like we have gotten out of this AI thing.
On a mass scale.
Only thing that's useful enough to be mentioned.
On a mass scale.
Within crypto or blockchain, at least I've not seen it yet. And maybe that's the good thing, because blockchain is supposed to be not seen. But there's no everybody who's tried to make a proper product out of this shit is either making another fucking chatbot, which I don't need, which nobody really needs.
You mean with AI?
With AI? Yeah. Or they're making something that talks to OpenAI, which, why are you making a company? Why are you making a company for an extension, basically? Like, there's no products coming out of any of this. And basically everything you've said there for the evaluation idea and the whole business idea and the quick selling and the that part is the reason for that.
I mean, there's a bigger conversation around the degree to which, because there are products coming out of it. They're just coming from established companies because they have the tech and the
They have the
resources
tech
and the
and
money to do
yeah.
it.
Yeah, you can
There's nothing-
actually argue that a Microsoft and later an Apple and a Google are the only ones that can.
They've added features
Their features, yeah.
to their, so it might not be an entirely new product because they can add a feature to a product they already have. For a company to come completely new and from scratch to start a whole new product, people are trying, like Claude, but it's another chatbot.
If we properly invested in proper companies instead of trying to get quick money, there would be more. I feel. If you tried to support a proper humane rabbit or one of those kind of companies, there could have been already one right now. They would maybe still be building.
It takes time. That's another thing.
Humane has been busy for years. They've been busy for a while.
But then there's a hype cycle, and they think they need to jump on the hype cycle.
That's why they probably released the shitty ass product, and now they're going almost.
Yeah, but they're still selling it off. Probably more than they put in. These are capitalistic games, my friend. This is business. Like, if I have some type of infrastructure set up for an AI company and there's an AI hype cycle, bruv.
But this is where I get towards
sell it.
And I didn't want to have this conversation. The capitalist versus non-capitalist framework, like does you basically get to the question, does the capitalist system work?
Yeah.
You see why I don't want to have this conversation?
I mean, we can, but maybe not today, maybe not fully today, but I would say it doesn't work. I think that when people ask that, it always depends on what you think it's supposed to do. Because often when people say it doesn't work, they mention a bunch of things where I go, yeah, but that's not what it's supposed to do. All right, so
I'm fair enough.
You're
fair
saying
enough.
it doesn't work because it's doing something it's not meant to do. If you look at what it's supposed to do, it's working quite fine. It's working exactly how it's supposed to make
work. A person rich. In that sense, it does what it needs to do. But is that collectively the best thing for the? Yeah. That's besides.
But I mean, with the AI stuff, I think it's a similar bet. I think it has value. I think it is an innovation. I think it's a big disruptor. I just think it's just what people are like. Again, the NVIDIA earnings reports came out earlier this week, and it's a perfect example of it where this company is fucking, I don't know, exponentially grown in size in only a short amount of time because of their investment into AI infrastructure, the chips. Ridiculous. I think second most valuable company in the world, or the most valuable company in the world, just because of this hype cycle. Ridiculous numbers, and yet there was a slight dip in the stock price, I believe, because the earnings that came in, as ridiculous and as high as they were still lower than what people expected. So it's like, it's all about expectations. Like, this AI stuff is valuable, but it's like the value of it is probably here, which is still crazy high, but somehow we find a way to put our expectations even here. And then if it doesn't meet this, then that's not good, even though this is already ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's sort of what's happening right now.
We go too far with this kind of shit. Why does it need to be so high? Why is it not good enough to make incremental steps? People like, yeah. I think also the cycle during I don't go back to that. COVID changed our world. The cycle during COVID, when everything was so high, fucked some people's perception of what shit should be. It was the first time a good group of people looked at the stock markets in forever, and they learned from that time, and they think every time needs to be like
Works like that, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I fully agree with you that this is a hype cycle thing, and you forget sometimes that hype cycles are a thing. That is especially in tech, that it's a big part of how shit works. AI should die off soon. It has to, basically. Soon, with soon I mean in the next couple of years, and then there's multiple years. And then it should go dormant for a while, and then it should be properly integrated into shit. But
again, it's always in the background.
Yeah.
It's a hype cycle. The hype cycle dies off. Or, 5 years later,
there will be some other shit.
But 5 years later, everyone is using AI, but you probably don't think about it very much.
Yeah, you don't even call
It's
it
not
AI
a thing.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, because it is being built and it is useful.
For me, the implications of AI are really the issue. Like, I do not, and it will not be everybody. And we said that we had this talk before, but I do not like the fact that, bluntly said, people will stop learning shit.
Yeah, but tech in general is going to do that. Things are easier, more convenient. People spend less time learning how to do something themselves because they can get.
I don't fully agree, because tech has, like, older or before this, tech has given us options. The search engine, the browser, the internet did not make us learn less. It made us learn in a different way. I do not feel that AI gives us a different way.
How's your handwriting?
My handwriting's still good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can write for you right
Your
now.
handwriting is shit.
It will be good.
People's handwriting is shit because they type.
But kids do not even know
bring-
how to handwrite. But handwriting,
That's my point.
I've no problem with that one.
But that's my point. If you bring tech into the play, people forget things like how to write a letter or,
Yeah, but
or
this,
paper.
but that's why I said it's not necessarily that older tech makes it, but it made us better in other stuff. You're still writing. It's not like you didn't write, you stopped writing completely. You're still writing.
How's your grammar?
My grammar is fine.
You're full of shit. Dude.
Fine.
You're full of shit.
It's fine.
People have still.
But
People have autocorrect.
Yeah, but
People
now
can't
you're
fucking
getting,
spell
but
words
now you're getting
and use
close
grammar.
to at some point, people will not even know what proper English is.
That's my point. Because the AI does it for you.
And that is where it's not a benefit; it's a replacement of shit. That is where my issue here is, because the whole time, every time we have this AI conversation, there's a seed, there's something, and I've not been able to articulate it well. Maybe I don't spend enough time trying to articulate it, but there's something with AI that doesn't sit well with me, and maybe it's this. It is not It's not. It is beneficial. I'm not gonna say it's not beneficial, but there's no learning that you can take. Like, if you take for example the grammar thing you mentioned, like, you're still writing, you're still using English, you're still using Dutch, you're still using French, whatever language you're using. There's a help that suggests, hey, this is maybe better for you to use. If AI takes the case, if I look at how my girlfriend sometimes uses AI for her work, she basically says, yo, I have this information and I need to send it to somebody. Format me an email in formal language. And she doesn't even look at it. She skims it one time and then sends it. It's great. Hey, it's great. Saves her a lot of time, saves me a lot of time, because I don't have to double check it or whatever, or she doesn't have to double check it.
Mm-hmm.
When I do it for myself, it's great. But it takes away the learning of how to use formal language.
Yeah.
And that is a detriment. And that's a tiny thing, but if you take that to code, if you take that to film, take that to other stuff, that's a big change.
It is a big change, yeah.
And that, I know there will be something to replace it, because the whole thing with AI before, we were talking about, AI will take jobs away and everything. Sure, but there will be new jobs. There will be new ways of doing stuff. If you don't know how to make video anymore because of AI, you still will learn how to make prompts in the right way and you'll be able to do it. But there's something inherently, and this may be me as some kind of dreamer kind of person thinking, there's something inherently better and more interesting about editing shit yourself. You figure out the nuances, like, because AI cannot think, it cannot imagine. And that's necessary. That part is losing with this AI is not worth losing imagining for. That's maybe the thing. Late AI maybe, but this AI is not worth losing imagining for.
Well, we'll see. They say it's going to keep getting better and better.
It is literally,
in 5 years, it could be crazy.
It is literally linking words and images together, and it's not.
That is an innovation. That is impactful.
Yeah, but it's not imagining.
Yeah, but maybe
it's not bringing stuff further. It's not giving you ideas.
Yeah, but we know that. And this is my point, right? When I say we know, I know that. Other people might not know that.
We know, yeah.
That is still a big innovation, right? The fact even if you take away, okay, it can't think for itself. right? And it can't come up with anything new itself. But its ability to do things faster that you now don't have to do,
Yeah.
right, is still a tremendous innovation. So you take that example of your girlfriend writing the email, and it's like, yeah, it's not coming up with something revolutionary. It understands language and knows how to write a formal email.
Yes.
But that's still time that you don't have to spend writing that email.
And I almost would say I would prefer if only people who know about the shit that they're prompting for should be able to use AI. But that's impossible.
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works. But that would be my. But I'm still trying to formulate this thought because I still feel like there's something off about all of this, and there's a bigger issue that we're not tackling. And I feel like this is the closest I've gotten. There is a literacy or learning skill that we're losing, and with every innovation, like if we talked about before, with searching, when Google brought you search results, yes, you stopped searching for shit yourself, but you still learned. If you got into a Google result,
people use AI for learning. AI can actually be very helpful.
In a different way.
AI can actually be very helpful with learning because it's more of a back and forth. I used it a lot for my test when I was studying, but for tech stuff, I was learning it very much. I was using it very much for that. It's pretty good for that. You'd be surprised.
We keep going back to this. You know how to use it.
Yeah.
You're more technologically minded. You understand why the AI is thinking in certain ways. You understand it is linking certain information together. So you understand, okay, I need to ask shit in this kind of way. I'm more about that little niece or nephew that we all will have that is using an iPad now, and at some point they will need to use AI. Will they understand what is going on behind and be able to grasp that, or will they just learn how to write prompts?
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between the two. Understanding the stuff behind and writing prompts for that, or just learning how to write prompts, are two completely different schools of thought. But it's a further conversation we can have. Let's wrap it up for now.
Good.
I thought it was a good.
Good.
This was a good one. Let's cleanly wrap it up. Good topic. I think when Dunk is here, we can talk more about the first one, the hip hop topic. I'm sure he has thoughts on that.
Yeah, as well as the job listing thing.
Job listing thing. So we will be back. Yeah, hopefully
next week.
Right? This time we're intending to keep it going again.
Yeah, once every 2 next 2 weeks.
So thank you for listening. We were the Three Angry Men. Just two now. I'm Jeffrey.
Oliver.
And you can find us on all platforms where podcasts are being played. So Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts. Google Podcasts is gone. Now YouTube Podcast. The PodTrack and other places. And you can also find us on YouTube and on Instagram, X. We don't have a Threads account, but at some point we may. Follow us, comment, like, share. Let us know what you thought about the episode. Let us know about the certain parts, which parts you like more. What do you want us to talk about? And we will consider that. And thank you for listening. Peace.
Yep.